We heard Schumer just last week say that if we take Georgia, we change America. We heard AOC say they have to have these 2 seats because they don't want to negotiate. They want total control. And so what's at stake is this, is that Schumer will change the rules in the Senate so they can do anything they want with 50 votes plus the vice president's vote as a tiebreaker.
That was Georgia Senator David Perdue on this program last week, explaining why the fate of U.S. policy hinges on both his and Senator Kelly Loeffler's runoff races in the upcoming race on January 5th. Meanwhile, President Trump's attorneys have requested a second Georgia recount just one day after state officials certified Joe Biden's win there. Here now to talk about all of this is Congressman Doug Collins. He is leading the recount efforts in Georgia. And Congressman, it's always a pleasure to see you. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Maria.
First, tell me what you found as you oversaw the recount in Georgia and your reaction to now Governor Kemp saying, oh, there should be even another recount because they did not match the signatures. What's going on in Georgia?
Well, number one, it's been good to go through this process. I think, sunlight on this process is a great disinfectant. We found several things. If we had never asked for this, and the Trump team had never asked for this recount by hand that we just got through, there'd have been a lot of folks disenfranchised because we found 4 counties in which votes were not even counted. We found out issues of the signature and verification match. I'm glad to see the governor is now speaking up about this. We wrote a letter about over 10 days ago about this, asking. I'm glad to see that he weighed in on that because that is an issue that we're going to have to address here in Georgia. But also we found out the Secretary of State office did not give clear guidance to the different counties, 159 counties in Georgia, on how to set the machines when they were actually making their final counts. We found a lot of things that say that we need to continue to look into this. But what we did find in the legal team, this is transitioning from me away from the recount down to more of the legal challenge that you've been talking about this morning. What we've got to remember is this has highlighted the issues. We're hoping that this will make sure that people do turn out to vote, because here in Georgia, we've got that election that you just talked about. It's going to be so important.
So I think what you just said, we need to underline for a moment. You're saying if people feel like their vote does not matter because there was fraud or irregularities, whatever you want to call it, then maybe they won't come out on January 5th. And if they don't come out, then yes, the Republicans certainly should worry about the runoff elections, because then the Democrats will win. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. We've got to make sure, look, we're doing everything we can to make sure we hold the elections process accountable in Georgia, from the Secretary of State's office to each individual election office that we have in this state. They've got to make sure that people believe that a transparent, orderly process is taking place. But I'll also say this to the voters in Georgia in particular, because you do hold a unique responsibility here. David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler need to be reelected. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. They have got to be elected to these seats because we do not want Chuck Schumer. You and I have been fighting for so many years and are going to continue to fight to expose what we found in the last 4 years as they attacked unmercifully this president on a Russia collusion hoax, the Steele dossier, the Mueller investigation, and now with John Durham, that hopefully he's going to start doing something. But if they give this into control of Chuck Schumer, those investigations go away. So the voters in Georgia, conservative Republicans, you've got to show back up and vote any way you can and make sure that we send these two back to the Senate.
Congressman, let me just tell our audience that Senator Kelly Loeffler was supposed to be on this program this morning. Unfortunately, she is not on because there was an inconclusive COVID test. So that is why she is not here. Do you believe that's going to impact her ability to campaign? That's one issue. And the other issue that I want to get your take on is what Stacey Abrams has said, Congressman, because Stacey Abrams, who has taken credit for delivering the Georgia victory for Joe Biden, now says she already has registered 600,000 votes by mail. These are mail-in ballots. She says you don't need an ID to vote by mail, and she's got 600,000 of them already. Are we looking at another fight with these Senate races and questions about a safe and secure election even before the vote takes place?
Look, one thing, I wish Senator Loeffler the best if she tests positive. I know she's going to get another test. She will do well. She will campaign as she needs to, and I'm looking forward to making sure that she'll be able to. She'll do that through the TV. She'll do that through appearances, hopefully through Skype and others. But if she is, we want to get her better first. But then let's turn our attention to Stacey Abrams. I'm about tired of Stacey Abrams. I'm about tired of the false claims down here in Georgia, voter suppression. I'm tired of the claims that she, didn't win in the governor's race. And now making claims of absentee ballots. What she's doing is again, trying to focus on getting people to do absentee ballots. Again, her organization, the Democratic Party, were the very ones who sued the state of Georgia, and Brad Raffensperger and the Attorney General and others who signed the consent decree last year that, in our opinion, weakened the signature verification rules in the state of Georgia. This is one of the things the governor mentioned. It's one of the things we've mentioned. That's what it makes it so more important that we have to fight back down here in Georgia. Look, people get out and run for election. They do the ground game. They do what they need to do. And Senator Loeffler and Senator Perdue are going to do that. But Stacey Abrams needs to remember, if she's actually encouraging people to vote illegally, if she's actually encouraging, as Andrew Yang and some said, to come to Georgia and register to vote as if you're going to stay in Georgia, that's a felony in Georgia. And I look forward to our law enforcement officers, if they come down here and do that, putting them in jail. It's illegal to come into the state of Georgia and register with no intent to become a permanent resident in Georgia. Stacey Abrams made a lot of claims over time, mainly for her own political benefit. It's about time that those stop, because those elections in Georgia are about the people of Georgia and not about wild claims that she's made on who she's getting to vote.
Are you comfortable that you have the wherewithal and the infrastructure to police all of this? Look, we expected that there would be irregularities going into the presidential election, and now we're learning that the observers couldn't get close enough to actually see what was going on. Why wasn't that policed in the beginning? And now you've got, Stacey Abrams never even conceded for her governor's race, and the media celebrated it. And you're talking about Andrew Yang tweeting out a week ago, "My wife and I are moving to Georgia." Do you have the infrastructure in place to ensure that you will be able to see accountability if people just move to Georgia to affect this race?
I do believe we will, because we've been pitching, throw these out there. We've been fighting hard for this president, fighting harder during this recount, which is now transitioning to the legal phase of it. But we've made enough emphasis here. The governor pointed this out. Others have pointed it out. I think the election boards are on notice. The Secretary of State's office is on notice. The Attorney General is on notice because he talked about this. Again, we're fighting back with everything, but it's going to take conservatives. Remember, Maria, you mentioned this before. We've talked about it.